No More Heroes is a series that is loved by many. Its over-the-top action, lovable main character, and interesting world make it a cult classic. So when it was teased that a new No More Heroes was in development, everyone was excited and couldn't wait to see what Grasshopper Manufacturer had in store for our favorite assassin. While this may not be a main entry into the series, Travis Strikes Again No More Heroes at least showed us that Suda51 had not forgotten about Travis, and that the series wasn't dead. Let's jump into the review and see if Travis Strikes Again is what we've all been waiting for. What's happening? Matt Made here, giving my review of Travis Strikes Again No More Heroes. The story takes place 7 years after the events of No More Heroes 2. It opens with Badman, a guy that really wants Travis dead as he killed his daughter. He's given the chance when some shady guys give him a death ball and tell him to go find and kill Travis. Upon finding him and trying to take him out, the two are sucked into the phantom video game console called the Death Drive Mark II. They must now work together to free themselves from the diabolical console. As this is a side story, it has no bearing on what No More Heroes 3 will be or needs to be. The dialogue in Travis Strikes Again is off the wall and over the top, as dialogue in No More Heroes has always been. Characters are nonsensical and really have some weird, edgy charm to them. Each character interaction is told via text boxes, and the story is given in an old DOS-like prompt. Also, the characters all have some sort of backstory and reason as to why they possess a death ball. From Dracula to some random chick who works in a gas station, the death balls can be found anywhere and everywhere. And the story of how Travis got all 6 death balls is really enjoyable. Now the gameplay is a thing. It's super basic. You have your light attack, which you can spam, your heavy attacks, which can stagger enemies, and your special attacks, which you get from finding chips and equipping. The special attacks are what really mix up the gameplay and can be really fun to use. Other than that, the combat is pretty brain dead and you can go around swiping your way through the stage. You can equip up to 4 chips and each has a different cooldown time. There are also chips that are specific to each character. Also, as you go through the game and defeat enemies, you gain experience. You can then dole out those points to either Travis or Badman and level them up, giving them more health and buffing their damage. The experience is shared between the two, so picking which character to level up can be a little bit tricky when you're playing co-op. For the most part, the game is played as a top-down beat-em-up. However, there are sections of the game that throw that completely out the window, seemingly just for the hell of it. In one of the games, you're racing and have to shift gears at the right time in order to get a speed boost to beat your opponent. This was a bit annoying, however it changed up the gameplay right when it started to get stale. In another game, you're running around trying to line up a neighborhood so that you can get to a specific house. All the while, a giant face of death is chasing you around and it can insta-kill you with a single touch. Running around trying to solve the puzzles and having to deal with that thing really turned me off the game for a while. The mechanic just felt rushed and half-baked. The only saving grace was that the levels were so interesting. Each one is given its own little idea and gimmick. Aside from the 2 I mentioned, there was one that was straight up asteroids, and all you did was fly around and destroy stuff. Some of the ideas were fun and cute, while others, like that damn insta-kill face, felt unnecessary and frustrating. At the end of each level, you fight a boss, obviously. Each boss is themed after the stage and really embody what the level is about, both in look and in fighting style. Smoking King, the boss from the Golden Dragon GP level, is all about racing and has all these exhaust pipes on his outfit, on top of smoking a cigarette. It's gaudy, over the top, and looks to be super uncomfortable, but I love it to death for those very reasons. Each boss has their own motivations and reasoning as to why they're fighting Travis. They are a refreshing departure from the faceless mobs of enemies you fight throughout the stage. Speaking of those faceless mobs, they have a variety of different types. You have your basic bitch red ones who will run up and try to melee you, your stronger red ones that have bats and need to be hit with a heavy attack, a few different types of blues, and a few different types of greens. Aside from them, You have a smattering, yes, I use the word smattering unironically, of more specialized and interesting enemies. However, as you get further into the game, you do run into those different enemies you have to actually try and think about how to beat. These enemies also help keep the otherwise stale gameplay fun. There's this one type of samurai or knight enemy that can really body you if you're not paying attention. It does tons of damage and can counter your moves. All of the moves and characters look really solid. Travis and Badman move well with the camera pulled back and everything being in a more top-down angle. Although aside from when you're out of the game, you don't really see either character up close much. You can, however, throw them into a ton of different t-shirts from some of your favorite games. My personal favorites were the Hollow Knight tee and the Fury tee, because those games are amazing. Apart from that, the way they're depicted in the old retro style storytelling really gave the game life and made everyone look so cool. While I would have loved to see CG cutscenes, Suda51 and the devs over at Grasshopper really did wonders with what they had. And that also goes for the music. The music in Travis Strikes Again is funky. You will hear remixes of the main theme a lot. However, the original tracks in the game are great. Now don't get it twisted, I'm not knocking the remixes, but the OST is fire. Just listen to it and you'll be forced to agree. The tracks are all hype as hell, and just listening to it will get you pumped and make you want to get some of that beam katana action. Everything with this game isn't sunshine and rainbows though. During my playthrough, I did run into a few issues. I didn't run into many hiccups or stutters. However, this is mainly due to the game's bare bones world and being straight to the point. There aren't any unnecessary NPCs or an open world to explore. The paths are linear and no frills. I did, however, run into a couple of crashes, as well as some really slow load times. Now the load times weren't too much of an issue, but those crashes are frustrating as hell, especially when you're midway through a stage and it crashes before you get to another save point. And now you have to start back at the previous save point and you lost all the progress you made. I did find the gameplay a bit too repetitive as well at times, especially when I had to run back and forth or dodge a floating face of death. Even with those gripes, overall Travis Strikes Again No More Heroes is a good tie-in game that shows Grasshopper that there is still life in the series and that fans want more. While it may get a bit stale and repetitive at times, the story is what really carries the game. It doesn't try to be grounded or pretend to be something it's not, which is what Suda51 is known for, throwing caution out the window and going balls to the wall. Which honestly, isn't that what we all expect from a No More Heroes game? But I'd love to hear what you thought. Have you played Travis Strikes Again? Are you interested in playing it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you're a fan of gaming, consider striking that subscribe button and hitting the bell. This is Matt Made, and I will see you tomorrow.